Hey friends, welcome back to another Wellness Wednesday. We were having some snow earlier, which was very pretty to look at. Didn't really amount to anything, and now it's just rain. So it's a little cold out here, but I think this video is going to be pretty quick because I don't have a lot to update you on, so hopefully I will manage. I almost considered not making a Wellness Wednesday today because I just feel like I don't have any groundbreaking new information to share with you. But this is a weekly series, and it would just be wrong to miss a Wednesday. So we'll just chat a little bit. So the last couple of weeks, I've been talking about using Lumen, the metabolism tracker that tests the CO2 on your breath and tells you if you're burning carbs or burning fat, but not to the point of if you're burning ketones. So it's like this funny in-between place where you're burning fat, but you're not quite in ketosis. So I've continued to use that, and I've continued to follow their recommendations as far as adding carbs in. So basically what I've found the program to do is if you are consistently burning carbs, like a level 3, 4, or 5 in the morning, which I am still very solidly a level 3 every single morning, which is right in between burning carbs and burning fat. If you are consistently somewhere between a 3 and a 5. The recommendations for carbs is 45 grams of net carbs, and then your protein and your fat based on like your weight and your gender and stuff. And if you exercise, I don't know if there's specific exercises, but like if I put that I did some strength training, it'll bump it up another 15 carbs. So 15 carbs is a serving. So they're saying if you're not exercising and you're kind of stuck in that carb burning mode, to eat the 45 grams of net carbs per day. If you exercise, it bumps up to 60. And that's like the bottom of the barrel as far as carbs go. And so I feel kind of like I'm stuck. So typically people using Lumen are coming from a standard American diet where they've been eating, 200-300 carbs per day. And so lowering down to 45 net carbs per day is probably a drastic change. And I imagine, it really shocks the body and gets the fat burning started. The wind is picking up and it is kind of cold. But I'm finding for myself, since I was at maybe 20 or 30 total carbs per day, not even net, that being at that 45 grams of net carbs per day is too much for me to make any change on the Lumen. I think it's enough to keep me out of ketosis. So I don't think that the ketosis is confounding the numbers that I'm getting. I think they're accurate, although I probably should check my ketones too every once in a while just to be sure. But I feel like I'm pretty stuck right there at that level 3, and I don't feel like there's any other tools from Lumen besides just keep going at this level until you end up in fat burning to help me change things. So that's a little interesting. Obviously, the Lumen is not designed for people that are on keto. I mean, we discussed this last week. Was it last week? And very clearly, it's not for people on keto. And I'm finding that it's not, or possibly it's not, very helpful for those transitioning from keto to adding a few more carbs. I am going to continue with it to make it to like a full 30 days. I've been on it for a little over 2 weeks now. So we'll do the full 30 days and see if, things start changing, because maybe it could just take time to start seeing the numbers shift. But so far, I haven't really seen much of a difference. On the carb front, I have continued to experiment with different kinds of carbs, and this has been one of the most fascinating things for me because I have the tool of a CGM, and I did not realize how incredibly valuable that information would be for me. Now, I found that when I was on ketovore and keeping my carbs at that like 20, 30 total carbs per day level, the CGM didn't give me a ton of information. It was interesting and it was helpful to see some changes there, but for the most part, I think I have pretty good blood sugar control so that when I'm eating that low of carbs, there's nothing really that's giving me issues as far as foods that I need to use the CGM to find out about. But it has been so fascinating and so valuable using the CGM while testing out carbs, because I've been in the diet world for a long time. I've been on keto and low carb diets so many times throughout the past, 20 years. And there are plenty of times where I have added carbs back in after being low carb. And I never was really aware of how different carbs could be for my body. So I showed you in a video a while back about Brussels sprouts. It was one of my what I eat in a day videos, and they bumped my blood sugar up a little bit. It wasn't anything terrible. It wasn't a huge spike. It wasn't so bad that I would say I'm never going to eat Brussels sprouts again. But they definitely had an impact. I am going to be testing them out again a couple other ways, like steamed with some butter, and then without the onions, because I had it with onions before. So I'm going to be doing that and just playing with it. But it's been so fascinating that basically I can eat any kind of bean and it has like almost no impact on my blood sugar. I have like this beautiful blood sugar response. And beans, I mean, they're carbs, like they have lots of carbs, and my body doesn't respond for whatever reason to the carbs in the beans the same way as it does to the carbs in the Brussels sprouts. Another example, I tried a couple of fruits, just going crazy, trying fruit, and grapes totally like jacked my blood sugar up. It was bad, awful. Bananas, almost no impact on my blood sugar. I did have the banana with my protein yogurt, which I'm sure like blunted it. I wouldn't just sit and eat a banana by itself. And it was a small banana. And of course the grapes, there was a small serving of grapes along with, protein and fat as well. But for whatever reason, a small banana was perfectly fine on my blood sugar along with my protein yogurt. Whereas grapes, I mean, it may have been like the worst blood sugar response I've ever seen while using a CGM. And like, how would I know that besides having the CGM? Now that I have the CGM and I can kind of feel what it feels like when my blood sugar spikes really high, maybe I'd be able to pick it out later on when I don't have a CGM on. That's possible. But before having the CGM and really seeing those responses, it's like, how would I know? Like, I'd just be adding carbs back to my diet, but not knowing what the specific carbs were doing. So it was like kind of like flying blind. And so that's why so many times I've, attempted to add carbs back and been like, carbs don't work for my body. Carbs don't work. Like lumping them all together when there are certain carbs that seem to be doing quite well for my blood sugar. One day the other week, I got really crazy and decided to try some sushi. It was just some like tuna salmon rolls with avocado. And of course it had sushi rice, although it was a brand that didn't put sugar. I checked the ingredients. There was no sugar in the rice. So it was just the white rice and vinegar and whatever else. And that, again, it was either the grapes or the sushi that gave me the worst blood sugar response ever that I've seen. So definitely that's going to be like a proceed with caution or never touch again type food. But I just feel like I'm breaking out of the constraints of all carbs are bad. And you either can eat carbs or you can't eat carbs. Like diving into the specific kinds and really finding out where my body lands on all the different ones. It's just kind of opening up a whole new world, which is pretty fascinating. So I'm continuing to play with it. Again, I am planning on checking my insulin because I know, I am curious about what it's going to do to my insulin. When I was on ketovore, very low carb, my insulin was 2.8, which is very, very low. So I have a little wiggle room, but I definitely don't want to see it, going up very high. So I'm going to be testing that next month. And I'll definitely let you guys know about that. But as long as that looks good, and as long as I'm feeling good, and as long as cravings don't come back, and all of those things, I'm gonna keep playing with it. So anyways, that is my update for this week, just playing with carbs. And it's kind of a weird place to be, but I feel like with the tool of the CGM, like now is the time to find out all this stuff, and I can always go back. Like that's what I keep telling myself with all these experiments, is that I can always go back to as close to carnivore as I want to. Like I have a safety net, and I can do these experiments, and we'll just see where we get. So anyways, that's it from me today on Wellness Wednesday. Hope you guys are doing great, and I'll see you again in the next one.